Spy Hunter is a combat driving game that was developed by Paradigm Entertainment, published by Midway, and released on the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox in September of 2001. At time of release, this title received favourable reviews of mostly 7 out of 10, and actually sold really well for its time, with just under 1 million copies sold throughout the PS2 generation. So what is Spy Hunter? Well, the best way for me to explain it would be to say that this is basically a James Bond game, except James Bond never leaves his car. The setup for this game's narrative is that some generic evil organisation named Nostra has a plan to do something to the Earth with satellites. Not really sure what exactly, but let's just say bad stuff. So Nostra wants to do bad stuff. They also have bases, vehicles and henchmen all over the world, and our protagonist Alex Sex is a former F-15 pilot who's been trained by the FBI and given the most ridiculously over-the-top car ever created to infiltrate, chase and take down Nostra across the globe. The narrative for this title is honestly paper thin, but at the same time you can tell that the developers weren't really taking themselves too seriously when putting this together, so it's all quite forgivable. Spy Hunter's campaign is 15 incredibly short missions of get from point A to point B, while accomplishing specific objectives along the way. Before you're allowed to hit the roads, you first have to complete a training mission, which gives you a good understanding of how the car works, and once you've gained your driver's license, you'll then be racing through the streets of Frankfurt, Venice, Florida, and many other locations as you pretty much blow up everything in your path. These missions will take between 5 and 10 minutes each, meaning you could probably finish the entire game in just over an hour if you know what you're doing, so quantity is definitely not one of Spy Hunter's strong points. The best part about Spy Hunter is how easy it is to control the car. The developer definitely had a focus on making sure that the game was easy to pick up and fun to play, rather than worrying about the car handling in a realistic way. You'll swerve through city streets and turn corners in a way that shouldn't be physically possible. However, this is a good thing as it keeps the game moving. The car itself comes equipped with a number of gadgets and tricks, from machine guns to oil slicks, missiles, and the ability to boost. All of these items are easy to use, and most enemies are taken down very quickly, to the point where you feel slightly overpowered, but I suppose that's the point. The car also has the ability to turn into a speedboat, which they introduced for the first time in a pretty cool way. Traversing across land and water is incredibly simple, as the vehicle changes automatically if you decide to drive into a river. If the enemies manage to chip away enough of your health, you'll shed some of your armour and the vehicle will transform yet again to either a motorbike or a jet ski. These transformations are quite novel for the first few times, but let's just say it's a good thing that this game is short. The action overall is fast and easy, and at the same time it is shallow and slightly glitchy, so Spy Hunter feels like something that belongs in an arcade and would probably make a decent iPhone game by today's standards. Visually, it's about what you'd expect from a game released in 2001. The model of the Spy Hunter vehicle has held up well and has a good amount of detail to it. The environments are a little bland, but at least there's a good amount of variety to them. Character models are also quite poor, but the developer was probably hoping you'd drive past them so quickly that you wouldn't notice. One thing that I did find amusing was the strange way in which some vehicles explode, as once you've pumped enough ammo into an enemy vehicle, the entire thing seems to fall apart like a piece of broken glass, and then just fall through the environment. Sonically, the game is poor, as a lot of the sound effects must have been obtained from a royalty-free library, as they're all sounds I've heard before in other games, movies and TV shows, which does make the experience feel just a little bit more budget. To sum up, Spy Hunter is a game that I don't really have a lot to say about. Its action is simple, its story is cheesy, and its presentation and performance are passable. It's not a game that has me on the edge of my seat, it's not a game that fills me with disappointment or rage. Instead, I come away from Spy Hunter with the feeling of, it's okay I guess. The game isn't rich in content, but it's easy arcade fun, and you could pick up a copy for less than £1 or $1, and you'll probably have fun for the 2 hours it'll take to complete.